Good morning, viewers, and welcome to another Onside SA Soccer Show, where we'll be previewing the midweek Premiership and Championship fixtures. Joining me as usual is our super sub and Manning Rangers League winner, Gavin Radford. Gav?
Morning, Budge. Good to be here. Good games on the weekend just passed. Once again, VAR is the main topic of talk, I think, around the rooms.
Yeah, I was mentioning it to a couple of my Liverpool supporters. Liverpool have been brilliant over the last year. And it's sad to say that VAR is more popular than they are.
Yeah, VAR has really been controversial this weekend. I mean, they're going down to the millimeters now to say you're offside or not, which is, for me, I want to see goals. Those close calls, I thought they would go towards the guy wanting to score the goal. But now they're trying to close it off. But I mean, all the managers agreed to it, so now they're really, some of them are feeling the pinch of going against them and some are winning the result for them. But yeah, it seems to be Liverpool seem to have quite a few in their favour at the moment.
Yeah, for me, my problem is you score a goal and you've got to wait 2 minutes before it's actually accepted or given the goal. And that's the
waiting period is taking too long.
Yeah.
I mean, they just need to draw a line and say you're on or you're off. I mean, they're going down to the millimeters, which is taking time. Everyone's standing around waiting for the decision, and then the crowd is all worked up because the goal has been scored, and then it gets cancelled, and then a bit of friction in the stands. Just needs to quicken it up a bit and be around.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody wanted it, and the majority that wanted it are debating. But I agree. They've got to finalise or sort one or two things out.
100%.
But hopefully it does improve. Joining us is our UK correspondent, Stevie Brahm, celebrating, no doubt, Fulham's victory over the weekends. Morning, Steve.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Now, we spoke about the weather earlier. You say it's not too bad in the UK.
No, it's sort of milder than normal. So they're saying that it could be the temperature in the teens going into the new year, which is sort of unusually warm. So, as I say, good football weather. There's no danger of matches being called off in England.
Oh, that's good. Steve, you've got to sort of, sadly, on the VAR controversies, what are they going to do? I just wonder how long it is before the sponsors get involved and start demanding, because it's taking away the excitement of English football.
Well, unfortunately it is. I mean, there's two sides to the argument. At the end of the day, people were, for years people have said, we want technology because, there are decisions being given by the referee that then turn out to be wrong. Now we've got that situation where obviously the decision, everything's been scrutinised, and as I heard Gav say before, it's just taking too long. And then, you've got situations where, like Wolves yesterday, scored what looked like a superb equaliser, given, offside by millimetres. And it's, as you say, the fans, the players, they're not sure whether they should be celebrating, not celebrating, and it's taking something away from the game. I mean, you're getting the right result, although, we have seen one or two instances where VAR has made a mistake, but generally you're getting the right result, but at the expense of, taking the passion out of the game a little bit.
Yeah, there's one rule I think they've got to have a look at is the referee. Now, watching the Man City Sheffield United game, the referee interfered with the player. Now, if something goes wrong, surely there was no advantage to Sheffield United there?
No, I think in that instance, you thought he would have used some common sense and given a drop ball, because he clearly obstructed Robert Fleck, and ultimately, as the ball broke, they ended up scoring from it. So, you would have thought that if he realised, the minute he realised he did that, he should have sort of blown up. I've seen that before, where the referee, as the ball's hit the referee or has diverted it, and he stopped, and the referee has stopped play. So, it's definitely some inconsistency, but it didn't help Sheffield United, and at that point they were sort of good value for their for holding City.
Steve, why are the referees still not using the TV on the sideline? Isn't that a major point?
I mean, it's one of the few countries where they're not doing that, and you would have thought that it's almost like the referees are saying, fine, we'll just leave the guy in the studio to decide. But ultimately, he is the referee, and if he calls it, he's seen it one way. Let him then go and look at the screen and make his own mind up as well. But he could get guidance in the studio. He might say, look, just look at this aspect of it. But and it's there. The thing is, it's on the side of the pitch. It's available. So again, it might be something that's looked at in the summer. I don't think anything's going to be changed until the summer at this point now.
Yeah. It's amazing in Italy. The referees, if it's a dubious, they run straight off. They may take an extra minute, but the referee takes responsibility. It doesn't look to me that the referees now, they've taken so much abuse over the years, they're just going straight to VAR and let them make the decision.
I think there is a bit of that, and I think ultimately it's going to have to be between the clubs and the referees association as to do that. What is the point of having it on the side of the pitch if it's not being used? And again, as you say, the referees also sort of absolving themselves of responsibility by making a decision knowing, or not making a decision knowing, that VAR is going to be involved.
Yeah,
so
true.
I think definitely, it's the first year it's been in play in the Premier League. There are teething problems, we know. The shame is there's been some high, critical games. There have been some controversy, and I think if the league was won on a controversial decision, then I think people might be up in arms. As things stand, with Liverpool so far clear, I guess that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, talking of referees, Steve, sadly I had a bet on a red card in the Arsenal red card. How does Jorginho not get sent off?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the trouble is sometimes referees are conscious of the fact they've already booked a player and give them a little bit of leeway. But, he pulled him back. There's no question at all. And then, 5 or 6 minutes later, still on the pitch, he scores the equaliser. Yeah. So you can understand Arsenal feeling pretty aggrieved about that. I think Frank Lampard came out afterwards and admitted he thought that Jorginho, was going to get sent off. So, they make mistakes, and that was a blatant one.
Yeah, terrible. Steve, Manuel Pellegrini got fired. David Moyes takes over. A wise choice?
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised. I mean, obviously the directors and the owners have had to eat a bit of humble pie because they basically said he wasn't good enough. I mean, he kept them, sort of kept them up season before last. After he was there for 6 months, they said, "Thank you very much. We want somebody more exciting, bigger name than you. We want to move into I think the term was they were moving in a different direction. Well, the direction ultimately has gone downwards. Yeah. So they've given Moyes an 18-month contract. I don't think West Ham fans are particularly excited about it. They've obviously felt they had to do something. We've been talking about this for several weeks. He was sort of a dead man walking, really. It was only that he had a couple of away wins that sort of kept him in his job, but their form since September has been shocking. Sort of 2 wins in 13 games, 1 point from their last 6 home games. The worst run at home for many years. And the fans at West Ham, they make it very clear when they're not happy. They leave the stadium early, and it was pretty much half empty by the time the final whistle went the other day.
Yeah. We mentioned Arsenal talk earlier. How do you see them going against Man United on Wednesday?
Well, first half, by the sounds of it, they played very well. I saw the highlights last night. And it sounded, evidently, Frank Lampard and a lot of the players, there was a bit of a bust-up in the dressing room. And I think there was a bit of soul-searching went on and a bit of arguing, but they came out fired up, Chelsea, and again, from the highlights, it looked like they were by far the better team second half. I think Arteta is going to struggle to turn that round, without any change of personnel. And they've got the worst home run for 60 years. Yes. I think you don't know what United you're going to get. I thought they were superb the other night at Burnley. Probably should have won by more. Looked very disciplined. Players like Fred, to me, that was probably one of his best games. And Lindelof at the back, against a difficult team, Burnley. I think if United go there and play as they can, I think they could upset again the apple cart again and give Arteta even more headaches. Yeah,
well, let's hope so. Other team, I watched Everton. It's amazing when they're luck. When Marco Silva was there, everything that could have gone wrong for Everton went wrong. Everything seems to be going right for Everton. Can they upset Man City?
I think unlikely. Although City, just not. There's something not quite right there at the moment. I mean, even though they were down to 10 men, I mean they just completely imploded at Wolves the other day. Yeah. You're watching. Defensively, they just looked all over the place. I think they will probably just be a little bit too strong for Everton. But, Everton certainly showed a lot of fight in the last couple of games, and they've dug results out. And, obviously a few weeks ago we were talking about, could they be relegated? Well, now they're only, half a dozen points off of, the top 4 place themselves. So, I think there'll be a close game, but I'd be surprised if City don't win it.
Okay, now Leicester rested, I think there were 9 players.
Yeah.
When they beat West Ham, they'll all be back. Surely they should be too good for Newcastle?
I would have thought so. I mean, Newcastle, having said that, I mean, they hadn't lost at home since the opening game of the season before they lost the other day. But I think Leicester will be too strong. They came unstuck against Liverpool. It was, completely outclassed in the second half. But they've got a good squad, and it showed that some of the more fringe players they brought in completely outplayed West Ham. But as I say, their key players will be back, and I think they'll be determined to try and push for that second place, keep that second place. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go there and they win.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Tottenham travelled to Southampton, who were terrible to say the least before they got a late goal. Terrible defensive error by Crystal Palace. Can they upset Spurs?
I would be surprised if they do. But again, Tottenham just seem to be very inconsistent themselves. Yeah. Could have been 2 down at Norwich if it wasn't for sort of VAR. But second half, they completely dominated. Got themselves a penalty, but probably should have done better. I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham either win that or at least they get a point there.
Yeah, talking of Norwich, how do you see them going in what I think's a do-or-die game against Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I mean, they really are trying hard. In the first half particularly, I thought they were superb against Tottenham. Very unlucky with a goal disallowed. But Palace are, they've got a few injuries, but they make themselves hard to beat away from home. And as you say, if it wasn't for that sort of really careless ball that let Danny Ings in, they probably would have got all 3 points at Southampton. As you say, I think Norwich have to go, would have to try and win that, but I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be really close. There won't be more than 1 goal in it.
All right, Steve, on to the Championship. You mentioned your Fulham boys got back to winning ways. Reading upset my team, and apparently what was a smash and grab job. They'd only had a couple of shots on target, scored a few goals.
Yeah, it looked like they got a couple of early goals and then Preston threw everything at them and just wasn't going in for them. They've won 3 in a row though, Reading. Haven't conceded a goal in 4. They pulled themselves right away from the bottom. This is a game that we have to win. We're back up to 3rd. I still think automatics might be a little bit beyond us, but we've got to keep the gap between us and 7th place. So I fancy us to get a win there.
Okay, now the team I think you can catch is West Brom. They've been struggling lately. How do you see them going at the top of the league clash against Leeds?
Yeah, I was probably hoping for a draw there, but I've got a feeling Leeds could win that. As you say, West Brom haven't won in 3. Got a scratchy draw at Barnsley. Beaten by, Middlesbrough have shown a bit of form recently, but only their 2nd defeat this season. But I think I just fancy Leeds. I don't think West Brom will beat them.
Yeah, just watching Leeds against Preston. They first off they were terrible. Preston should have put them out of sight. But once the coin dropped, they were all over Preston. In the end, they could have won going away. Now, talking to my Preston boys, terrible result. We lost at home to Reading. Can we bounce back against Middlesbrough?
I think you can, but I've just got a feeling that Middlesbrough have turned the corner. Yeah. They've showed a bit of fight. They've won 3 in a row. I've just got 1 or 2 players back from injury. I've got a sneaking suspicion they might upset you. I'm afraid.
Yeah. They were on 2 Friday nights ago when they beat Stoke, and I was really impressed. Like the chairman, when they were struggling, he never wanted to fire Jonathan Woodgate. The performances weren't bad, and fortunately for Middlesbrough, as you say, they're the form team. I think they've won 4, drawn 1 and lost 1 the last 6. Hopefully that ends.
They got Daniel Ayala back in half the defence, the big, strong defender. They've got some young players that come through. They're starting to gel a little bit. So, yesterday was a big result for them, and I don't know if you saw the goals.
Wonder goal,
Fantastic goal. It was a bit opportunistic, but ultimately, you score from like 30, 35 yards, it looks spectacular.
You're right. Steve, one team I've always thought of playoff contenders are Notts Forest. They've won the last 2. Can they beat Blackburn?
I think they will. I think they've been a bit inconsistent, but they've had a good win at Hull the other day. Blackburn, who were doing really well, the wheels have come off a little bit for them. Unfortunately, they've lost Bradley Dack, who's been their sort of best player the last couple of years, and he's out with the anterior cruciate ligament injury, and they're saying he could be out for at least 9 months. So if they're not able to replace him in January, which I suspect they might not be able to, I think that playoffs are beyond them now.
Okay, and last but not least, Steve, Bristol City, who beat Luton against an inconsistent Brentford, especially away from home.
Yeah, I was very surprised yesterday that Brentford lost at Millwall. Brentford have been going really well recently and had a couple of big wins. But Millwall, as we said, Millwall themselves are making themselves very hard to beat with Gary Rowett there. Bristol City totally inconsistent. Great run and then sort of lost 3-4 in a row. I think there could be a draw there. I think Bristol City, that was a good win for them. They'd lost at Luton 3-0. They've come back and beaten them 3-0.
Yeah.
So I think a draw there.
All right. Now, Steve, before we end our conversation, your best bet for the weekend and your best value bet?
I think Forest. I think Forest is going to be too strong for Blackburn without Bradley Dack. And going for my value bet, I'm afraid I might just put. If I had £1 to put on, I'd put it on Middlesbrough because I just think at 33 for 10.
Yeah, that's crazy price.
Yeah, it's could be good value. Although having said that, look, we know that the result yesterday probably didn't reflect the pattern of the game, but Preston have wobbled a little bit in the last month or so, as we know.
Yeah. Sadly, I hate to agree with you, Steve, but you're 100% right. Steve, thanks as always. Have a good New Year, and we'll speak to you on Thursday.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Happy New Year, both of you.
All
Bye.
the best, Steve. Bye. Thanks again. Gab?
Well, Butch, I'll tell you, the championship is heating up once again. As soon as you think the teams have found the form, they seem to fall away. I mean, I don't know what is about the championship, but that league, you really got to be on top of your game week in and week out. A couple of teams that have dropped points that we thought were sitters. Just got to embrace December when you come through it.
Yeah, and I tape and watch all the games. As I said, I didn't watch Man United the other day against Newcastle. I taped that. I watched Preston, my team against Leeds. But anyway, we'll go on to the Premiership Wednesday kickoff. We start off with Brighton against Chelsea. Now, watching Brighton at home against Bournemouth was a total annihilation.
Well, Chelsea, for me, yesterday's game against Arsenal as well, they really played well. They got stuck into Arsenal second half. First half, they were really bad. On Brighton's side, they did really well, but Bournemouth were really looking poor.
Terrible,
they were poor. Brighton at home could be a team that could upset Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea have had two hard games.
Yeah.
They put a lot of effort into both of those games. So Brighton, I mean, the manager's got them playing, and they're playing at a high-tempo game as well, which I noticed on the weekend. There could be a surprise, Could be leaning towards Brighton in the draw,
Yeah, I think there'll be goals in it. One thing about Chelsea, they have a go, and Frank Lampard was a player. He didn't sit back. Even money Chelsea, they got lucky, they got out of jail, but sometimes when you have that bit of luck, it tends to carry on. Yeah. I won't be taking the even money, but Chelsea
it's
obviously.
It's going to be a tough game for Chelsea.
Early kick-off on Wednesday. Now, Burnley against Man United, they were terrible. They tried to play the set-piece game, keep it tight, counter, try and score on set pieces. One or two little chances. I was really disappointed, but as for Aston Villa,
both teams are struggling. Burnley, I mean, United made about 4 or 5 changes to the team and came there expecting a difficult game, and Burnley just never pitched up. They were waiting for that one free kick to get in the box, and it never materialised for them. Villa as well, same thing. They played so well in the cup game 2-3 weeks ago. I thought, well, that side is really looking like they've got potential with young players. They've just fallen away. Both teams really struggling. I'm sure we'd be leaning towards Burnley to win this game, but I mean, nothing to write home with these two teams.
Yeah, I think 8-10 Burnley's a gift. On to Newcastle versus Leicester.
Leicester, too good for them. Leicester really finding that form of championship team. They've won 5, lost 1 of their last 6.
Yep.
So I think Leicester really, the team with Liverpool at the top, were really looking like they're pushing hard. They can't get to Liverpool. I think Liverpool, the league's over.
Yeah.
The Leicester team at 7-10 against Newcastle could be a gift.
Yeah, I watched the Newcastle-Everton game and they really ran out of legs. They've got Andy Carroll up front. To me, Leicester, the worst result, they drew at home to Norwich and it seemed to stem the tide. Then they got beat by Man City and outclassed by Liverpool. He was forced to rest his players and they were lucky that they played a West Ham team that were terrible.
Yeah, they're just below the Liverpools and the Cities at the moment.
Yeah.
So for them to finish in the top 3 would be a phenomenal result for them.
Yeah.
I think Leicester are really doing well this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think Leicester will beat them too. Now, Southampton-Tottenham, I can't get a take on Tottenham other than the fact that they score goals.
Well, I was looking at the stats this morning. I think Spurs have led in 2 goals per game with Mourinho there, which is very unlike Spurs and Mourinho. Mourinho would normally tidy up the back. They always call him park the bus. But Spurs are really doing a good job, but they're conceding too many goals.
Yeah.
They're scoring but conceding. A Southampton team that's won 2, drawn 1, lost 1 of their last 4. I mean, it could be a tough game for Spurs because they are conceding. Southampton, one of those teams that like to play soccer, so it could be an interesting game, this.
Yeah, I think goals, I thought 12-10 when I looked at it should be a gift, but Spurs at the back, the two fullbacks don't offer much going forward. And I just think there's a bit of trouble at the camp. Once it gets into the new year, I think there'll be a few of them gone and they'll come right. But 12-10 looks, there should be Spurs, but I'd be playing the goals market. Now, Watford against Wolves. Watford, 3-0 victory over a disappointing Aston Villa. They did have 10 men when they were 1-0 up. But Wolves, I thought, were unlucky against Liverpool. Beat Man City, even though they had 10 men. 13-10.
This also looks like a gift horse, Wolves at 13-10. I mean, you played two of the top teams in the league where you should have got results.
Yeah.
I mean, they did phenomenally well coming from 2-0 down against City, who you really just pass you off the ball.
Yeah.
To come back, even though they played against 10 men, they got the result. They came to Liverpool, they played exceptionally well again. High tempo game, quality match. Watford, I can't see Watford living with them unless these guys make a few changes and come off.
Yeah.
But this looks like a penalty kick at 13-10. I mean, they've won 2, drawn 2, lost 1 of their last 5.
Yeah.
And the quality of the team they played against, they should be too good,
Yeah, I agree. It should be Wolves all day. But in Troy Deeney, Wolves had a warrior. And every time he plays, that he's going to give it his all. On to our second page now. Man City, too good for Everton?
Yeah, Man City, too good for Everton. I mean, I know Everton have got 2 results with the new manager in charge. But going to a big park like Man City, they'll just pass you. They're too good for Everton. I think Everton will struggle in this game to find their feet.
Yeah, I looked at all try the avenue. I think the goal route's the best. I think over 2.5 was 5-10. Over 3.5 was 9.5-10. Everton to score, Man City to score, both teams to score. That's the bet I like, 8-10. I think this has got 3-1, 4-2 written all over it. Now, Norwich against Crystal Palace. If ever I felt sorry for a team, was Norwich. That VAR decision, if it's 2-0 up, different game.
100%.
Even the free kick with Eriksson, I thought there was a little bit of a foul for Norwich. It's not going their way. I think Crystal Palace are going to turn them over.
Yeah, Crystal Palace have a lot of injuries as well, but I mean, they're good also. This is really going to be a competitive game. Guy Pukki up front for Norwich, I mean, he gets limited opportunities to score, but he's a real finisher. He puts the ball in the back of the net. Very unlucky with the offside goal. I mean, they're going down to the millimetres again. Crystal Palace, one of those teams that just hang in there throughout the whole match, and when the chance presents itself, they put it away. They've got some good players, Crystal Palace. Collectively, they're not a bad side. Tough game. I'm leaning to the draw in this game.
Yeah, drawn Crystal Palace, but I fancy Palace. West Ham at home against Bournemouth. After watching Bournemouth at lunchtime against Brighton, West Ham was my bet of the weekend. And then I watched West Ham against Leicester. What a disaster. David Moyes has taken over. Immediate bounce?
Sure, but if you take over West Ham today and you're playing Bournemouth, you would think you're going to get 3 points. But both teams are so poor at the moment. There's no confidence in the camp on both teams, I would think. I think Bournemouth might be a team thinking that they could get a result where West Ham will be saying we'll be lucky if we get a result. They just got to go out there and play. I mean, normally when a manager comes in, the guys normally pick their game up. So if West Ham don't win this game, they're going to really struggle for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think with Pellegrini, there were a few players just cruising around. Now Moyes has come in. If ever there's a chance for West Ham to get a result, I think they will. I just don't think even money's a good bet. Now, Arsenal against Man United, Gav.
Oh, this is my bet of the weekend. I think Man United are going to roll them. I think United have got too much pace for Arsenal at the back. I think Arsenal are struggling. Their left and right backs don't get down the pitch as much as United does. At the pace of Rashford on the one side, Martial showing a bit of form. I think we've got too much pace up front for them, which is going to cause them problems. And I think it's 16-10. Being a Man United supporter, I've got to get involved,
Yeah, I love your loyalty. I just think the goal markets are the way to go. One thing about Arsenal, they always look like scoring. Like I said, I think Pepe will start, Aubameyang. I know at the back they're dodgy. United, let's just see. This is a big game.
Big game for us. I think Arsenal, in the last 10-15 minutes of the game, yesterday, looked like they were really leg heavy.
They ran out of legs,
Their legs were gone. They were gone, and Chelsea was really putting them to the sword. I think United will win this game.
No, let's hope so. Now, Liverpool, I've got a question. Can they go the whole season without losing a league game?
Well, I think the league is going to be done and dusted in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think the league is won. For me, they've really won the league. The problem comes is when you win the league and it's official that you've now got 5 or 6 games still to run, they will take the foot off the pedal and they'll get beat. So I can't see them going the whole year unbeaten.
Sheffield
Even
United.
though they're a quality side. I mean, Sheffield United, I mean, they're going to give their best. They punched way above their weight this year.
Yep.
They will give Liverpool a run until Liverpool put 1-2 past them, and then it'll become one of those matches where it'll become a case of let's just keep it tight.
Yeah.
But Liverpool at the moment just looking awesome in the English league.
I was really impressed with what I saw from Sheffield United. He's done a good job, Chris Wilder. Obviously, 1-4 should be in everybody's bets if you're a staunch Liverpool supporter or not. I just like the look of 11-10 Sheffield United to score. They were unlucky not to score against Man City, a dodgy VAR decision, and I like what I see. On to the unpredictable Championship. That's the only way I can describe it. Millwall going well against a Luton Town, who've lost all 8 of their last away from home.
Yeah,
7-10 a gift?
Yeah, you would think Millwall would be a gift. Yeah, 1-3 drew 2, lost one of their games, where Luton have lost 8. I mean, Millwall should be taking the 3 points. Yeah, shouldn't be a problem. But the unpredictability of this league. But yeah, Millwall for me.
Yeah, me too, all day Millwall. Now, Birmingham City have only won one in the last 9. They were beaten 5-4 in a thriller by Leeds yesterday. Now, playing a Wigan team with the worst away record in the league, surely even money looks a good thing.
Yeah, it does look like a good thing. I mean, Wigan drew 3, lost 3 of their last 6. Birmingham won, lost 4 of the last 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, tight one, but yeah, the value is there for Birmingham to take. I mean, they've been scoring goals.
Yeah.
So it shows you they can score goals, and putting 4 past Leeds shows you that they can go to big teams. So I would be taking the even money.
You know, the evens. The only thing I have against it is sometimes, like Preston found when they play great against Leeds, you get up for the big games, and now you play a relegation battle. I think the draws a play, even though I do agree with you on Birmingham City. Now, Bristol City are a team I just can't catch. Every time I go for them, they get beat. They cruised yesterday 3-0 over a poor Luton Town team. Brentford going well, but they're away form. They haven't won in 4.
Yeah, I had Bristol City in my bet yesterday. Unfortunately, went out a bit later. But yeah, tough game to call. Brentford going well in the league. Bristol City 1-3, drew 2. I mean, it's going to be a tough game. I'm leaning towards a draw in this game.
Yeah,
tough game.
Now, have you heard from Steve, my Fulham correspondent? Over 50 years he supported them. Be careful, this Reading team's dangerous.
Yeah, they are a dangerous team. I mean, they're one of the teams in the beginning of the season who were really struggling. They seem to have turned the corner big time. Fulham seem to have turned the corner as well. Fulham at home, you would think, would get a result, and I'll be leaning towards Fulham to win this one.
Yeah, okay. On to our second page of the Championship. Huddersfield have come right. Yeah, the only game they've lost at home was against Leeds United. Now, Stoke, they've got Ryan Shawcross back. He's the anchor man. I don't see Stoke losing this game. I know it's 15-10, which I think is a little bit short for an away team, but it's Stoke City for me in the game.
Yeah, they've won 1, lost 5 of their last 6 games, so they're still conceding goals.
Yeah.
But they did play a lot the last 2 weeks. They've improved their game a lot. Huddersfield as well, they really struggled beginning of the year. Again, I'm leaning towards a draw in this game. I think both teams are very average.
Yeah. Now, my best bet of the weekend comes in the next game of the City Ground. Notts Forest have stopped conceding goals. I think they'll be too good for a Blackburn Rovers team who, as Steve said, Bradley Dack's injured their main striker, and they have a terrible habit of conceding goals. 11-10 for me, Gav.
Yeah, they look like a good bet. I mean, they were one of my bets for the weekend. Good to see them winning. I think they've turned the corner a bit. I think they'll win this game. I think Forest will be too good for Blackburn, who seem to have dipped in their form.
Yeah. Now, beloved Preston, terrible result against Reading. From having the best home record, now everybody thinks we can't get a result. Speaking to my guys that are at the game, we didn't play too badly, missed a lot of chances, but we play a Middlesbrough team who are the form team in the Championship.
Well, the guy scored a scream. I think it might be goal of the year for the Championship, Middlesbrough. So they have turned the corner a bit. Preston, I mean, they've had their little blip now, 1 or 2 games, I think, but I think they'll still be too good for Middlesbrough. These teams that show little glimpses of form, they quickly go off the form again.
Yeah.
I think Preston a little bit stronger in form than they.
All right. QPR Cardiff?
Well, QPR for me are just seeming to slip again. They seem to be going downhill again.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as they start coming up, they go down. But Cardiff 1-2, drew 3, lost 1, and their form is not too bad. Again, a tough game to call. I'll be leaning towards QPR on the draw.
Yeah, QPR involved in goals galore every week. Got beat 2 at home by Hull. Cardiff have come right. Dark horses for a playoff place. A final page in the championship, we got Sheffield Wednesday at home. They were surprisingly beaten at home. Sorry, they were unbeaten in the previous 8 at home. Now Hull City are a Jekyll and Hyde team. It's goals in the game, but I wouldn't be taking 9 to 10. But I don't see Sheffield Wednesday losing.
Yeah, I think Sheffield Wednesday and the draw is a good bet. Yeah. Hull inconsistent. They've got a good home record, Sheffield Wednesday, so I'll be leaning towards them.
All right. Now the big game, the top 2, West Brom, Leeds United.
Well, terribly disappointed with West Brom yesterday. They knocked me out of my bet. But yeah, the home form will stand good. Leeds scoring lots of goals. Tough game to call with these two. One's just finding form, one's losing form. So it makes it quite a tight game. I'm going to lean towards Leeds in the draw. I think they might be the better of the two at the moment.
Yeah, I think the fear of getting beat could be the bigger thing. 5 to 2, the draw looks a big price. Now the Thursday games, you got Derby against Barnsley. Barnsley under their new German manager Gerard Struber. They're unbeaten in 5. Derby, if they play on Monday night, they've fallen off the rails. Upset material?
Yeah, no, Derby gone right off the rails. I think Barnsley has shown some more consistency with them. They've got some good form. I mean, at home and they're pretty decent. Away they're not too bad. But I'm going to lean towards Barnsley in the draw, yeah.
All right, and our final game on Thursday, Swansea City at home against the Charlton team who haven't won in 10 league games. Swansea City?
Yeah, Swansea City for me. I think they'll be too good. I think Charlton have to travel. I think Swansea will be waiting for them, so I think Swansea will get a result, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. On to our midweek exotics. We kick off with the Soccer 6. I've banked Leicester to beat Newcastle. I've gone the field in the Southampton versus Tottenham fixture. I've gone win and draw, Wolverhampton Wanderers at Watford. I've banked Man City to beat Everton. I've gone Crystal Palace win and draw at Norwich City and ended with a field in the Arsenal-Man United game, 216 Rand. Championship, Premiership, Soccer 6, I've banked Notts Forest to beat Blackburn. I've gone the field in the Preston-Middlesbrough game. I've gone Cardiff City, win or draw at QPR. I've gone the field in the Sheffield Wednesday Hull City match. I've sided with Leeds United to avoid defeat at West Brom. And I think West Ham, having to have another banker, I've gone West Ham to beat Bournemouth, 216. On to our Soccer 10, I've banked Leicester to beat Newcastle. I've gone the field in the Tottenham or the Southampton versus Tottenham fixture. I've banked Wolves to beat Watford. Notts Forest to beat Blackburn. I've gone Cardiff City, win or draw at QPR. Our second page, I've gone Leeds United, win and draw at West Brom. I've banked Man City to beat Everton. I've gone Crystal Palace, win or draw at Norwich City. I've gone West Ham, win or draw at Bournemouth. And I've gone the field in the Arsenal versus Man United fixture, 288. On to our Soccer 13, I've gone Man United to hopefully avoid defeat at Arsenal. I've gone Man City to beat Everton. I think Leicester City will be too good for Newcastle. I've gone Tottenham, win and draw at Southampton. I've banked Wolverhampton to beat Watford and gone with Crystal Palace to avoid defeat at Norwich. And ending off on the first page with West Ham to beat Bournemouth. Our second page, I've got Leeds United, win or draw at West Brom. I've gone Bristol City, win or draw at Brentford. I've gone Stoke City to avoid defeat at Huddersfield Town. I've banked Notts Forest to beat Blackburn. I've gone Cardiff City, win or draw at QPR. And Sheffield Wednesday, win or draw at home against Hull City, 435. On to our budgies bets for the weekend. I've banked Burnley to beat Aston Villa. I fancy Crystal Palace to win at Norwich City. And I've gone Leicester City to beat Newcastle and over 2.5 total goals. 2,300 to 200. Our Premiership goals games, I've gone over 2.5 goals in the Brighton-Chelsea game, Norwich Crystal Palace and Southampton-Tottenham match. And I'm looking for a bumper goals target anyway in the Man United-Arsenal game, over 3.5 goals, 13.5 to 1. Our Premiership both teams to score sides are Arsenal-Man United, Brighton-Chelsea, Liverpool-Sheffield United, Man City-Everton, and Southampton-Tottenham, 2,500 to 200. On to the Championship, where I fancy a treble. I think Notts Forest will beat Blackburn. I think Fulham will beat Reading and both teams to score. And I've gone Millwall to beat Luton Town and both teams to score. That worked out just over 20 to 1. The Championship, both teams to score sides are Birmingham Wigan, Derby Barnsley, Preston Middlesbrough, QPR Cardiff City, and Sheffield Wednesday Hull City. 2,700 to 200. And our Collis King, 6 or Nexa, I've gone Burnley to beat Aston Villa. I've gone Leicester to beat Newcastle. I've gone Wolves to beat Watford. I think Fulham will beat Reading, Millwall will beat Luton Town, and Swansea will beat Charlton. Gav, who do you fancy?
I'm going with Man United and Wolves. I don't like to go with teams playing away from home, but I think at 17 to 10 and 14 to 10, I think you get a good 6-7 to 1 double for those two teams. I'm going United and Wolves.
Yeah, my best bet for the weekend, I had to wait for the odds to finalise this morning. So I'm taking 11 to 10 Notts Forest to beat Blackburn Rovers at home. And my best value bet is Crystal Palace to win at at Norwich City, 18 to 10. So those will be my play in the midweek. Gav, have a good new year.
Yeah, but you'll
And
have
to
a
all our
quiet one.
punters, stay safe and remember, please stay on side.